Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today video we are going to discuss about blue-green deployment strategy. So before moving to a blue-green deployment strategy, I just want to clear one thing. When we talk about deployment slots in Azure App Service, which is basically a feature of Azure App Service, that is something different, and the and green deployment strategy is different. But with the help of deployment slots in Azure App Service, we can achieve the blue-green deployment model. But the purpose of Azure App Service deployment slot is something different. We will see in coming slides where we will do a differentiation between blue-green deployment and deployment slots. So let's first understand what is blue-green deployment. So a blue-green deployment is a deployment strategy designed to minimize downtime and reduce risk when releasing a new version of an application. So basically in blue-green deployment model, we have two servers. One will be called as a blue environment or blue server. Another we call as a green environment or green server. So in blue environment, basically all the live production environment where the users are using, that is called a blue environment, and it contain a stable version of your application. And we treat green environment as a duplicate of blue environment. So here basically both the servers are identical in terms of configuration, or the version where the application version, or maybe they were using a shared database schema as well, but it is not recommended to use a shared database between blue and green environment. But most of the use cases you will see where we use a shared database, so it will basically make easy for this blue green deployment model. But again, it's completely depend on a schema version, because the current version of your application is should also support the schema which is running on a database. So basically in green environment, we deploy a new version of our application, and we do all kind of testing and validation on green environment. Once the testing is passed, then what we do basically, we will route the traffic from blue environment to the green environment. So in all the users will move to the new version of our application. So let's see how does basically a blue green deployment work. So we are here setting up two environments. One is blue, where is our live and the production work is happening or traffic is going. The another one is green environment, which is a duplicate of blue environment, which is used for new environment or new application testing. Then what we do, we deploy the new version of our application in green environment and do all kind of testing which is required. After the testing is successful and we are confident, okay, everything is working fine, then we route the traffic from blue environment to the green environment. And all the users who were using blue environment, they basically will not understand or in a background what happened, but automatically they will access the green environment application which we have updated, or the latest version of our application. In case if any issue happen during the switching or the new version of application, then what we can do, we can easily roll back to the blue environment where we were running the stable version of our application. So what we have to do, we have to just route the traffic to the blue environment where we were having the stable version of our application. Let's understand with the help of this particular diagram. So these are the current number of users basically who's accessing your application through browser, and all the traffic going through the routers to the blue environment. And the both here I have taken a example of shared database, but it is not mandatory. You have to use a shared database, but it makes configuration easy. So, and you will also see in most of the use cases we will having a shared database, but again it's depend on the schema which is which the schema basically should support the version of application which is running in both the environments, either it is blue or green. So all the users will accessing your blue environment, and the green environment as a ideal environment. There is no user traffic. So now in, if you see in this particular diagram, this again in the blue environment we have a version 2.0 application running, and then green environment, we update the version of our application, or we release the new version of our application 2.1. We did all the testing and we find out it's working fine. Then what we did, we just simply route the traffic to this environment. Now the blue environment become ideal and the green environment is live now. So all the users will be accessing your green environment and they will also have a connectivity to database. And if you see, in both these scenarios, basically we are not doing anything on application sites, we are just routing the traffic. But before that we have to do all kind of testing on our green environment before redirecting all the users traffic to the green environment, which basically become a live environment once you move all the traffic. So that's how basically a blue and green deployment strategy work. And the server configuration, which the blue environment and the green environment will have the similar kind of configuration. In simple words, it will be a duplicate of this particular environment, so you will not have any messes in your configurations or nothing. Everything will be remain same. What is the now let's see what's the benefit of using blue green deployment model. So downtime. User experience no service interruptions during deployment because we just redirect the traffic. We have not shut down anything. Risk mitigation. In case we found any issue in a green environment, we can immediately route the traffic to the blue environment. So there is no issues. Basically we are mitigating the risk of the version which will having the maybe the new version which we have deployed. We have tested everything, but later we found out, okay, there are some issues in the application, so we can quickly roll back to the blue environment. Seamless testing. The new version is validated in a production light environment without affecting users. So as we told, the both blue and green environment are identical or duplicate of each other. So whatever the testing we did in a production, sorry, a blue environment, the same kind of testing we did for green environment as well. And the fourth is the easy rollbacks. Just we have to route the traffic from green to blue and blue to green. So it's pretty straightforward way. So these are the benefits of using blue and green deployment strategy. Now we will see deployment slots. So basically deployment slots are a feature of Azure App Service that allow you to create multiple environment slots for a single app service. But again, there are some conditions, like there are different pricing tier in Azure App Service. So according to pricing tier, basically you can create a n number of slots. It's depend, maybe it's a standard tier, you can create only 5 slots. If it's a premium or another tier, then you can create more number of slots. But if you see the difference here, in blue green, ideally we will be having two servers, one for blue and one for green. That is the use case mostly on the production level in deployment. But in deployment slots, we can create a multiple slots. Maybe we have created one slot for dev, one slot for QA, one slot for UAT, and another slot for prod. So these are the difference basically, but we can achieve the blue green deployment strategy in through the deployment slots as well. Now we will see the difference between deployment slots in Azure App Service and in blue green deployment model. So the definition, as I told you, it's pretty simple. So of this basically Azure apps sorry deployment slots is a feature of Azure App Service where we can create multiple environments. But in blue green deployment, we basically aim to reducing the downtime and risk when we do a deployment of a new version of our application. So we will be having two environments only. Now we will see the purpose of Azure App Service, sorry, deployment slots in App Service. So it's provide isolated environment for staging, testing, and pre-production. And the blue-green deployment model purposes ensure a smooth rollout and rollback with minimal downtime. So if you see, there are different purpose in both the strategy. Now uses can be used for multiple purpose. such as testing before swiping or AAV testing, whatever testing you have to do. But the blue-green deployment majorly focus on the production environment deployment, where we don't want any kind of downtime. Now it comes to the flexibility in deployment slots. We can create multiple slots, but in blue-green deployment model, we can only create two environments, blue and green. Now we will see a traffic routing. So in deployment slots supports gradual traffic redirection between slots. What does it mean basically? Gradual traffic redirection. For example, we have created two slots, one for pre-prod and one for prod. Now what we do? We will move maybe 80% of traffic to the another slot and 20% traffic will remain on the another slot. So once we do, we will be 100% sure. Okay, now that we can move another 20% users to the another slot. So this is something called a gradually, but like you are not directly in like immediately moving all the traffic to the new slot, but gradually, like maybe it could be at 50%, 50%, or based on percentage you can route the traffic. So this is something called a gradual traffic redirection. Now when it comes to the blue green deployment, so so traffic routing is the integral but depends on the implementation, like how you want to redirect. It's load balancer or traffic manager, something you are using. Now rollback, easily revert by swiping slots back. So in deployment slots, we just have to swipe the slots. And in blue-green deployment, rollbacks depend on how the environment and routing are configured. So basically, if I'll talk about in terms of configurations and manpower and skill sets, in blue-green deployment model, we have to do a lot of planning before setting up the environment. But in Azure App Service, when it comes to deployment slots, it is quite easy to configure a traffic routing. So these are the major differences between deployment slots, which is in Azure App Service and in blue-green deployment model. So that's all for today. See you in next video. In next video, we will see how basically we can utilize a deployment slots in Azure App Service. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.